Did you ever tell the police in here on this statement that you actually had a firearm in your hand and pointed it at the defendant?
No, I did not.
You never told him you had a gun at all in terms of as you had an interaction with Mr. Rittenhouse. True?
That is correct.
This is a notice of claim. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Filed on your behalf by your lawyer, right?
That is correct, yes.
Making a notice or telling, among others, the city and county of Kenosha that you would like $10 million. True?
That is correct.
Did you read this?
I did.
So are you aware in this document, you never mentioned that you actually possessed a firearm? You know that?
That is correct.
You left that part out, right?
That is correct.
And he's running toward the police, isn't he?
That is correct.
Okay. So what you, and tell me if this is right, you have no idea what happened with Mr. Rosenbaum, do you?
Apart from, no. No.
On that day?
Correct.
Okay. And he tells you, he's running, and he tells you on whatever he tells you, I'm going to the police, or what you think is, he pulled the gun first, and he's running away from you, right? He's running north on Sheridan Road. Yes?
Correct.
And he's running away from where you're standing. True?
Correct.
You at that point pull a firearm out from your belt and begin to chase him. True?
That is not true.
I want the picture. That's a picture of you, is that right?
On the right-hand side with the blue cap and...
Yeah. You can look there where this is you, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you're digging into your waistband in the back, are you not?
Yes.
That's where your gun is located, is it not?
That is correct.
Okay. What do you think, to the best of your ability, how far that guy's ahead of you?
It'd be hard to tell, but based on what I can see here, maybe 30 feet.
Okay. So you believe, based on this, Mr. Rittenhouse is more than 30 feet ahead of you because he's not behind that guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. So he's 30 feet, at least 30 feet ahead of you. You look like at that point you're moving. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So with him 30 feet ahead of you, running away from you, at that point you pull your firearm and begin to chase him, correct?
No.
You don't begin to chase him?
Nope. No, I do not.
You head in the direction that he's running. Yes?
Correct.
But you just happen to be running in that direction? It has nothing to do with Kyle Rittenhouse running in that direction?
No, it does have to do with the defendant running in that direction, yes.
Okay. So you are trying to chase him down?
No.
You can hear people yelling at that point, get him, get his ass, things like that, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. But you acknowledge you hear get him and get his ass?
Correct, I do.
Okay. So, fair at that point, you believe those people are chasing him down?
Yes, I do.
Then you know that, you didn't know it then, but you know now that's Anthony Huber, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you saw this happening, right?
Correct.
And it was no more from me to you away probably at that point, true?
I don't recall, but that's probably
Right,
fair.
ballpark?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, you had mentioned to the officers that you even recalled Mr. Huber holding onto the trucks of that skateboard when he was striking you, right?
Correct.
And that, to be fair, as a medic, that concerned you, did it not?
I think any time that there's a risk of head trauma, it's a risk.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, you believe in this picture, one of the reasons you wanted to intervene was you believe that Mr. Rittenhouse was in danger of being seriously hurt, right?
In part, yes.
And you had mentioned to the police that evening that you tried telling Mr. Huber, you just said the guy, but you tried telling the guy to stop hitting him with the skateboard. Is that right?
That is what I put in my statement, yes.
Is that true?
With the benefit of hindsight, I don't believe that to be true, no.
Okay, so when you told that to the police, that you told the guy with the skateboard to stop hitting him, that's not correct. That's not true.
That is correct.
Now, your original statement then to the police was, I tried telling the guy to stop hitting him with the skateboard. The guy on the ground then turned over, racked the weapon, and pointed his gun at me and shot me, right?
That is correct, yes.
You omitted the idea. You omitted the fact that you ran up on him and had a Glock pistol in your hand, right? You left that out.
Correct.
And in that interview, you don't answer any questions about the shooting, do you?
No, I do not.
This lead detective on a homicide case, where you are also shot, is trying to gather information to figure out exactly what went on, and you refuse to answer questions about that, right?
Specifically about the shooting?
Yeah.
That is correct.
On the 24th, you refused to answer questions, right?
The 24th of
September.
Correct.
And the day after the incident, you acknowledge you left out the fact that you even had a gun, right?
That is correct.
This person here that's just coming into the frame, that's you.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And you are running, correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Now, you had originally said that you wanted, you were going to tell Mr. Huber to stop hitting him, but now you understand that you didn't say anything. You were just running, whatever word you want. You're moving towards Mr. Rittenhouse, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. We just heard a shot, yes?
Correct.
Okay. And to be fair, that you put on the brakes, right? You were running, you then almost stop in your tracks. Fair enough?
Correct.
Okay. And I don't know if your arms are up at that point, but it looks like you're kind of protecting your head at that point. Is that fair?
That is correct.
Okay. How far do you think you are away from him at that point, to the best of your ability?
I would say about there, between
Me and you?
you and I, correct.
So 3 feet?
3 to 5.
Okay. Now at that point, you have your hands up, right?
Yes, I do.
Now you probably don't notice him at the time. This guy's holding up what looks like a wooden club of some type.
Some sort of wooden object, yes.
Okay. So your hands are up, and at that point, he has not fired at you, correct?
No, he is not.
Okay. It's going to be quick. You'd agree at this point, you are dropping your hands, you are loading your front foot, and you are moving toward Mr. Rittenhouse at that point, true?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me if I've got the lay of the land. At this point, you're holding a loaded, chambered Glock 27 in your right hand. Yes?
That is correct, yes.
You are advancing on Mr. Rittenhouse, who is seated on his butt, right?
That is correct.
You're moving forward, and your right hand drops down with your gun. Your hands are no longer up, and now the gun is pointed in the direction of Mr. Rittenhouse. Agree? I'll give you a picture. Maybe that'll help. So, Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 67. That's a photo of you, yes?
Yes.
Okay. That's Mr. Rittenhouse?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you'd agree your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And once your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, that's when he fires his gun. Yes?
No.
Sir, look, I don't want to... Does this look like right now your arm is being shot?
That looks like my bicep being vaporized, yes.
Okay. And it's being vaporized as you're pointing your gun directly at him. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were standing 3 to 5 feet from him with your arms up in the air, he never fired, right?
Correct.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
You had mentioned that you believe that he was re-racking. I think I don't know much about guns, but you had mentioned that you believed he was re-racking his gun or something, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Now, this is your, tell me if this is right. This is your tweet from November 5th. So, during this trial, you're tweeting out, yes?
Yes.
And you tweet out to whoever these people are, make sure you look and listen for the defendant's firearm malfunction, and then you have a winky emoji face. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So this is, the 5th was yesterday?
That would have been Friday.
Time's flying, Judge. So Friday at 7:45, and what's the winky emoji face for?
I believe that was in response to whoever the original poster is on there. I don't know what the original post was, but it was more than likely in response to this person's opinion that they had posted.
Now, you had said that you were looking for a non-lethal way to end this interaction.
That is correct, yes.
Yet you pulled your gun out and began, I'm going to use the word chase. You began chasing or running after a man who was running away from you, correct?
That is correct.
Now, you had said, and you were asked about the do no harm and the tattoo on your arm and things like that, right? You have some regrets from that evening, don't you?
No.
Well, Jacob Marshall's your roommate, isn't he?
No, he's not.
He was your roommate, correct?
He was, yes.
Okay. And Jacob Marshall came to visit you in the hospital. Is that right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And I know he's taken it down, but not before we saw it. He posted something on either Twitter or Facebook with you, right?
Correct.
Do you remember that?
Remember what?
The picture that you guys took in the hospital together?
Yes, I do.
We haven't gotten to it yet, Your Honor, but I'm going to be objecting on hearsay grounds, yeah.
Proceed. Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to approach you for a second if I can. And I'm showing you what has been previously marked as Exhibit 69. You'd agree that the statement that I had previously showed you that you had given the police on the 26th. Is that right?
Yes. So on this document, it's marked 2520. I don't know if that's reference to the time of the incident, but
Right.
this statement was given. It looks like I'm sorry, 9:46 a.m. of
Okay.
the following day.
So just so we're clear, it says on 8/25/20 at 11:30 p.m. this happened, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the only thing I want to make sure that you're comfortable saying is there's markings at various points on this paper. Is that right?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And the statement is 2 pages. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And can you tell me what those marks are on the left-hand side of that document?
What is being referred to, there are circles. It looks like 2 on the first page, 2 on the second page. And these are on the left-hand indent. And in those circles are my initials.
Okay. So you had, at various points during that statement, put your initials on it?
Correct. I wasn't able to, I'm right-hand dominant, so I wasn't able to write. So the officer that, I'm not sure which officer that was, but the officer was taking my verbal statement, transcribing it, and then throughout I would initial either, so you can see here there's the word approximately was crossed off. I signed that there's a correction there made.
Okay, so can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Where it says, I told multiple officers that I had dropped my firearm, right next to that you put your initials, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And to be fair, on the bottom of each one of these pages it says, I have made the above statement without any threats or promises. It is my desire to state the true facts as to this incident. I have read the above statement and find it true and correct. Is that what it says?
That is what it says, yes.
Okay, and you signed that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So my last, where we left off, I just have a couple questions for you. I had asked you if you had any regrets about that evening and that you had said that you did not, correct?
Correct.
And I had asked you if you know a person, Jacob Marshall, correct?
Yes.
And Jacob Marshall may not be today, but he was your roommate.
Yes.
And you had said that he had visited you in the hospital.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you what is marked as Exhibit 70. I'm not interested in the stuff on the right now. I'm just interested in the photograph. Okay? Is that a photograph of you and Mr. Marshall?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Does that appear to be taken after you had suffered the injury to your arm?
Yes.
Okay. And that's at a hospital. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you had said you didn't have any regrets. Did you tell Mr. Marshall that your only regret was not killing the kid and hesitating to pull the gun before emptying the entire mag into him?
No, I never said that.
You didn't tell that to your roommate?
Objection, asked and answered.
You didn't tell that to Mr. Marshall?
No, I did not.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Hey, what are you doing? You shot somebody? I want to get police. Who shot? Who shot?
Is it fair to say, Mr. Grosskreutz, that what was just played on the screen is the only words exchanged between you and the defendant after the defendant killed Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
And you've already explained what you heard at that time. We've already heard the video. Was there ever a time in which the defendant said someone pulled a gun on him?
In hindsight, no.
In your statement the next morning, you told the police you'd heard the words, something to the effect of, he pulled a gun on me, from the defendant. Is that right?
Correct.
With the benefit of hindsight, we can see that never happened, correct?
Correct.
When you were after all this was said and done, was there any impact or anything like that on your left arm from that gunshot?
Yes, there was.
What was that?
It was determined to be a muzzle burn.
From its proximity to the defendant's gun?
So a little more context on that. When a bullet is fired, there are gases that are
Judge,
extremely...
I'm going to object.
That's fine. We'll move on. You can go ahead and have a seat. at that moment in time, right before you got shot by the defendant, did you feel there was an imminent danger that the defendant was going to kill you?
Yes, absolutely.
When you were just demonstrating to us the way your right hand was holding the gun, however it was angled, my question for you is that the way you hold and point a gun when you're going to shoot it?
No.
And Mr. Binger asked you if you ever threatened verbally with words Mr. Rittenhouse. Do you remember him asking you that?
I do.
Okay. And your answer was he did not.
Yes.
You'd agree people don't have to use words to threaten other people. They can do it by their actions, correct?
Yes.
Like running after them down the street with a loaded firearm, right?
Yes.
Like approaching them, loading their foot and moving their gun forward while the person's on their butt sitting there, right? Those are nonverbal things that can be used to show aggression, correct?
Yes.
Now, you can talk about what your mental intention was. You'd agree what everybody's looking at is you pointing a gun at a person's head, right?
As well as the defendant pointing his firearm at me.
Absolutely. But you are, by your own admission, pointing a pistol from less than 3 feet away at his head. Agreed?
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree that that gun is pointed in the direction of Mr. Rittenhouse's head? You don't agree with that?
In the direction, yes, but directly, no.
You didn't tell him what you were doing, right?
I don't have time to.
Well, as you're running, you didn't say anything, right? You're just chasing him down. You never say anything.
It would have been hard to communicate that over gunfire.
My question to you is, you never said a word to him other than approach him with your gun out from 3 feet away, right?
Yes.
I have nothing else.
When you asked the defendant if he'd shot anyone, he lied to you, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And even though you've been asked questions about what he said at various times or things like that, did he make threats to anything like that, to people, anything like that? You construed his actions as threatening, didn't you?
Based off of witnessing the first 2 shots with Jump Kick Man, the third shot that killed Anthony Huber, yes.
And in fact, you had mentioned to the officers that you even recalled Mr. Huber holding onto the trucks of that skateboard when he was striking you, right?
Correct.
And that, to be fair, as a medic, that concerned you, did it not?
I think anytime that there's a risk of head trauma, it's a risk.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, you believe in this picture, one of the reasons you wanted to intervene was you believe that Mr. Rittenhouse was in danger of being seriously hurt, right?
In part, yes.
You construed his actions as threatening, didn't you?
Based off of witnessing the first 2 shots with Jump Kick Man, the third shot that killed Anthony Huber.
Thank you.
There's one question. He didn't lie to you, right? When you had contact with him, he didn't lie to you, did he?
Yes, he did.
How did he lie to you?
After having asked him who was shot, and then him saying, I'm going to the police, which we know after the fact, and then saying, I didn't do anything.
So it's your testimony today that you heard. Now, to be fair, your first interview that you signed, you said that he told you, I'm working with the police, right?
I'm going to object. This is beyond the scope of the direct.
Right?
That is what I thought I heard in the moment, yes.
Okay, so you weren't telling the correct statement, correct?
Can you...
Yeah, you said that Mr. Rittenhouse lied to you.
Yes.
Your initial statement to the police was, he told me I'm working with the police. You know that's not true.
After the fact, yes.
Okay. So what is on tape is he said, I'm going to the police, right?
Yes.
You're not saying that's not true.
No, I'm not.
Nothing else.